Beaver.
It
Is that hat?
is an ad.
best, region.
I don't think nobody's gonna do it.
Yeah, I was
mean,
gonna say,
beautiful.
it's a lot to just.
Driving wise, enjoy the parks.
Yep.
Some
He
scenery.
was pretty thankful.
We've got actually kind of lucky the last couple of years, since we've been down, we've gone down on some pretty tough times.
Cold,
Yeah.
snow.
Cold and snow.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I mean, it's a good time because nobody can do anything else this time of year, but at the same
Pretty still
time,
roses.
yeah, going, hey, can you imagine if you're more fun? I mean, you got 5-6 hour drive.
And they're down there.
Right.
There's an awful lot that we can get.
Yeah.
Well, they need the other 3 days to travel between getting down there and going home.
Right.
Yeah. That would be good.
This is on convention. This one. I don't know if I canceled the other ones already or not. I'd have to look. Because I'm hoping it's still cool. It's possible. I might have gave them up. Well, I know I canceled 3. Wait, so I might have 3 still.
Okay.
Oh,
See what happens.
okay. I'll check and text you tomorrow.
Yeah, that'd be great, thanks.
Okay, yep.
We're up and running? Okay. All right, I have 6:00. All right, at this time, I'll call the school board meeting for the school district of Thornley to order. All members are present with the exception of Jody at this time. Next is the board financial audit.
Yes.
Mr. Braxton.
Ms. Newman pulled 3 for me today. And that at random, it was South Middle Products. Just basically hardware for that Mr. Corrigan ordered just for building maintenance. Just random screws, washers, drill bits, things like that. So just wanted to take a look at that. The other one was waste management for the dumpster service. That bill. The other one was Nichols Ventures. I think they provide food for DOD days. Did that, and nothing, no issues. Everything was done according to procedure. No problems there.
I'm Jody, the other person. All right, next is our appointment of our WSB delegate for the 2026 delegate survey. So
I nominate Derek Overly.
I'll second that.
So a couple things on that. Yeah, based on the circumstances with the trial and so forth, there is our lone individual. In terms of the resolutions that are there, there's a couple that have gained some traction, and actually Derek was emailing back and forth, and so I took the liberty to add in, because this was a very prominent topic at our meeting on Friday at C11, and it's the coupling versus decoupling. And so just wanted to make you aware of what that is, the definitions, what it includes. So it's certainly, I think, Derek, you're gonna have hours of listening. That's gonna be a major topic that's discussed on there. So just want to make everybody aware of that.
We have to have a formal vote? Okay, so we have a first and a second on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carried. Next is our policy 2000.
Anybody have any questions? Derek emailed me separately on a couple of questions. Derek, did
Yeah.
you get those
no, that was
answers?
Helpful, thanks, glad we have people in those spots.
Any other questions by anybody with that? All right, next is the approval of the agenda, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Motion's made by Derek, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jordan. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. The motion carried. Next up is our open forum. And we have the Hoffman family here, but that'll be for later. That's our presentation for later, okay? Next is
Unless
our,
they would like to say something.
you're good? Okay. Next up is our consent agenda. The items are listed. Is there anything on the consent agenda that anybody would like to have pulled aside for further discussion or need any clarifying questions asked?
There are some things that I want to go through unless you guys have specific questions. If you look at the front screen, in terms of, and actually she happens to be sitting here, so we're asking for approval for Shayna Hoffman to fill in for an FMLA. She has that background coming from the University of Wisconsin Stout. So looking forward to that opportunity. If you look at letter G, this is a further development of our policy and procedures. This is a state statute, and so if you clicked on it, the committee members that were invited, who also includes Mrs. Hoffman and her son, but then a host of others because of the statute. So it includes Holly and Shane because they're our health educators, Ms. Humphrey as our nurse, administrators, Ms. Johnson, who also teaches, plus she has a degree in health. We have to have a person from the clergy. Council is appropriate, so I've asked Bob Swanapool and he has accepted. And then we need a parent, which Mrs. Hoffman is very active with our parent group in the elementary. And then Clayton and Haley as students that are very active in some co-curriculars like DECA and FCCLA. So this will satisfy that state statute. In addition, this meeting will take place annually, if not biannually, as we discuss puberty education. And we needed a policy before we got to the committee. So we are now compliant, which we have not been for many, many years. So this will be, if you haven't heard of this before, unfortunately, we didn't have this correctly, and now we're teaching puberty education plus health at the elementary, middle school, and high school levels. Any questions on that one? The other one I wanted to point out was the Act 143 summary. This is by statute by the beginning of the year. This has to go to the state based on Act 143 of years ago. And this will satisfy that act based on statute of what we've done at school to provide safety training and safety development for our students and staff. So everything is there. I like to keep a running total, especially with our FBI trained instructor, Chief Ehrlich from New Richmond, who has conducted active shooter training for our staff the last 2 years. There's a variety of links that are on there, but this will again be sent to the state and then set by January 1, and will satisfy that statute for Glenwood City. Any questions on that one? The next one is, this actually took place today, and Krista made a graphic, but the individuals want to remain anonymous. But in my meeting today at a location, they handed over $1,200 in cash and completely paid off all negative lunch accounts for Glenwood City. This is quite a sign of gratitude. you know, we talk about giving things back to the community and giving things back to the school. As of this morning, Krista gave me I had this meeting planned, but I didn't know the exact total, and they wanted to know, Mr. and Mrs. Village is what they want to go by. They want to know the exact total, so the total was $1,129.20. That includes how many families roughly?
6, 8, 12, 24, 25
25
families.
families that have negative lunch accounts. They handed over $1,200 cash. We took the proper procedures and got a receipt. And I, again, from an auditing standpoint, I have all the documentation. But to this, I asked them to write a message since they wanted to remain anonymous. So as of 6:10 tonight, we have 0 debt for lunches in Glenwood City. So just acknowledgement to them for that.
Are those families then made aware of that?
Not yet. You guys got to approve it first.
And they will be.
And then they will be made aware of it, yes. Yes. In addition to that, we talked about the policy 2000s, but not only asking you to do Neola Select, which basically is where the changes that are made are done by the Neola representative. In my other district, you know, we've had different people do it, but there's just a lot of confusion. So that's what Neola Select is, and they can see it's well worth the money for that. And then the approval of point 2, this is actually all the changes that were made from the update of May 2025. And again, because we were delayed, because we didn't have policy, basically. So another update was just sent out, and I have a meeting with them in February to address those updates. But these updates are based on they're based on statute changes, legal changes, etc. So when you go into that, and just again, this is new for you, and if you go into your policies and they go into drafts, that's where you click into them if you want to read through them, and they're redlined. You can see where the changes are made. And then what happens is they take that approval once I send them the message tomorrow, and then those become our official policies. Most of them, again, are, you know, there's grammar changes, there's some basic minor changes, but they're all vetted through Neola and the Council of Neola. So again, if you want to look at those, just go to policy. They are considered in draft. You guys have all the access to this, and then you go to that update. So this is the first update that you guys have seen. So I wanted to make sure you're aware of how to actually go through that. If you're not comfortable approving those tonight, because you didn't see them or know where to find them, we certainly can do that, but they're basically, again, legal changes. Any questions on those?
So I guess are those considered technical updates? Because I know what was
Yeah.
in the board docs is kind of the policy around policy changes.
Yeah, no, they're not. There are some grammar, or I shouldn't say technical changes. It's not misspellings, because they didn't have misspellings, but it's a different verbiage. That's the one thing that I always communicate to Neola, because sometimes they like to change board to Board of Education. And it's like, seriously, to pay your lawyer $300 doesn't make any sense. But yeah, there are some bigger statutory changes based on laws at the federal government and then also locally. So I wouldn't say they're all grammatical or small changes. There are some content that's related, but again, they're vetted through the legal portion of Neola. Any questions on that? Okay, let me go back to the agenda. Act 55, this was a question that Derek posed based on a policy, actually, But Act 55 is another statutory requirement that we are required to get out there, post on our website. So you will find this on our website. It talks about our academic standards. It also talks about where, I like to keep a running total, but you have to show the report card scores, and then make sure that you talk about open enrollment. The other addition for this year was this eCampus, which we're all aware of. But other than that, this will go out in our winter newsletter, but it also is posted, it's considered an annual or an annual notification, or annual notice, right here. So this approval tonight fulfills that, and then I send it out from there. Any questions on Act 55? All right. And the rest speak for themselves, unless you have any questions.
So does anybody have any concern as far as the policy piece? Are we okay to move forward with that, or do we need to take that off the agenda?
I think we should review it before we approve it and take the time to review it in detail. At least I'd like to have some time to go through the red lines.
Just like anything, when you guys have questions about this stuff, I mean, don't hesitate to reach out and say, I don't know where to find this. I know this isn't doable, but don't ever be afraid to text me, email me, call me if you need more time with certain things.
And our next meeting is the 15th of January?
We have the 12th, which we're gonna go through budget. I can throw it on there if you wanna pull it out and review, but to stay, again, there's not, if there was some major changes, I would bring them out specifically and again, good by the rule, no surprises, but however you guys want to move forward with it.
Is there anybody else on the board that feels that we should hold them for further review? Anybody else? Would you be okay, Jordan? Yeah. Okay. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion.
Motion's made by Derek, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Steve. Any further questions or clarifying questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carried. All right, let's move on to business actions. Item A. Second report.
So we have, I get out there. We have a opportunity that our new business teacher, who actually has been, there she is, Miss Nolde, has been in her position for a year, but she actually has been part of DECA since I was in that position, and she helped, and I'll let her take it from there, but a great opportunity for our kids, and the floor is yours. You guys just nod to me. The presentation's right here, and just tell me if you wanted to change a slide.
Thank you, Mr. Olson, for the intro. My name is Casey Nolde. DECA, as some of you know, but don't, is an international student-led organization that prepares emerging leaders and entrepreneurs in marketing, finance, and management, to name a few. DECA provides students opportunities to network, learn, and compete. Our next large event will take place on Saturday, January 10th at the University of Wisconsin Stout, when we will take 13 young leaders to compete at the district level. This is twice as many as last year, so I'm very proud of those who are going. I have high hopes and expectations for each and every one of them, and I am excited to connect members of our community with DECA and our regional student competitors. So, if any of you are professionals who want to help with this event or others, please reach out. We have many opportunities throughout the year. Before we get started on talking about our Power Trip Conference, I want to say thank you sincerely to our school board, our administration, for your continued support for our chapter. We want to recap our trip to Washington DC. But before we do so, I want to let you know a little bit about how this trip came to fruition. Clayton Hoffman, right here, is our chapter president this year and an extremely motivated and persistent senior. He came to me early in the school year and asked if I, a brand new teacher, would take him and the chapter to Washington, DC. At first, I thought it was just a fun idea that he had and maybe he would change his mind or move on to something else when he realized how much work it was going to take. I was wrong. Clayton put together the proposal that was presented to our principal, Dr. Sue Curtis, and then to our superintendent, Mr. Patrick Olson, before it was approved by you all. Before doing so, with minimal assistance from myself, he researched the conference, hotel, flights, tickets, transportation, financial data, and every detail in between. I'm incredibly proud and grateful for him, for his efforts, because this trip was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for not only these students, but myself. We were able to learn, experience Washington, DC, and show off how great Glenwood City is. I also want to thank his parents and the other chapter members and their parents who were responsible for fundraising. This could not have happened without you. I am going to stop talking now and let Clayton carry on with the presentation, as well as Olivia and Connor Choose.
Once again, thank you everyone for being here tonight and listening to us talk about DECA. Thank you all for approving the motion when we asked for this crazy idea to go. Next slide, please. So overall, it's DECA Ultimate Power Trips, one big conference where you take 50 states of DECA students and you bring them all together for one big learning experience. It mostly consists of keynote speakers, learning labs, professional development competition. They bring in a bunch of outside exhibitors, and then obviously we had to go to all the museums and national landmarks. So right away at the opening session, we got to listen to Eddie Slowakowski. He's an ex-Division I cross-country and track guy. I think he was a sub-4 miler. And his was all about like energy and what you can do to like be the best version of yourself. He talked a lot about like athletics. So as someone or multiple people here all in sports, it was interesting to hear from that perspective and what he had to say. That all translated to like your life and what you do to live it. You guys got anything on that?
It was really amazing. Like, he really helped us process information. He like made it so he brought like a life story into it, and it just made everything more understanding. He's like really awesome. He talked about his stories about how he accomplished things. It was really cool.
He just brought a really like high energy start to the conference as well. I think got everybody pumped for it.
Would you be interested in showing us some of the impressive dance moves?
The dancers? No, he danced at the end, and it was crazy. And everyone going
So you can't show
I
us?
think if you saw it, you could do it really well.
Okay. I will hold you to it. All right.
So we started off with the learning labs and professional development. Most of the learning labs were led by other states, state officer teams. So like the California State DECA president and their team would come in and they talk about like one subject. One of them I attended was visuals and how to really win your competition. So it's interesting to hear from like such a high perspective, like what they had to talk about it. I think one of my favorite learning labs I went to was Cane's did a marketing one, like Raising Cane's, the chicken company. They did a marketing one and how they market to different demographics and cities. And I thought that was super interesting to hear as someone who competes in marketing. There's a lot of information, like opens up your perspective on what they really do.
Yeah, so one of the learning labs I went to, there was someone that worked at Gucci, and the experience he had was like actually insanely cool. Like, he would tell us about everything he's worked with and what his favorite part of his job was. I think someone who worked for was head of Target or Adidas, I think, was also there. And she got to tell us how she worked from nothing all the way up, and she gave us tips and everything. Also, we had a college student who was explaining what she wants to do in the future to help build herself up. It was really neat.
I went to a learning lab hosted by, I believe it was North Virginia State Officer DECA, and it was about encouraging activity in DECA members and how we can get DECA members to be more active within the club and help prepare themselves for competition and being in business.
Here we got some pictures in here. So they put us all in one big conference room, and it was so big they had to do it in 2 different parts. So like, I'd say roughly the size of our gym. I think 3,000 total students participated, so they had to break it up 1,500 and 1,500 for each of the big composite sessions at the beginning. And then they have all the video and stuff, lighting. It was really, really cool. I think, yeah, that's my picture. Go to the next one. Then the main capstone of this was competition too. So you had the opportunity to compete in a marketing communications role play. They'll sit you down, you have 10 minutes to prepare with information that you're given right then and there. And then you have 10 minutes to present to a judge of how you're gonna solve a problem. So this one was about how you would promote travel to the DC metro area for the 250th anniversary. And you had to explain like different marketing channels and like how you'd accomplish that. And I ended up getting 100 on my competition role play. So I was like one of the 150 students that got like top competitor, they called it. So it's pretty cool to be recognized at that level. And I think everyone else had a pretty good time competing. I mean, it's such a higher dynamic than you're used to, so it really pushes you to go to that next level. And then here's some of the exhibitors that came here. It was a lot of colleges, like a lot of their schools of business, their economics, their marketing, and then lots of companies too. Some armed forces were there. But I had a pretty good chat with, I know Syracuse and Ole Miss were super good. But lots of them talked about like the importance of like when you go to college, like doing everything you can to get the education you want to get. Like you're not just going there to go through school, you're going there to get a job. And you're going there to come out as a trained professional. And it was pretty interesting to hear. They had a couple speakers too about like admissions processes and like as a senior, like what they look for in applications. You guys have anything for that one?
That was really cool though. They like, I don't know how they got everyone out there, but it's so fun, it's so interesting. Like the Canes one, like really stood out to me. Like they were like influencing us to do things, but they also had like prizes and rewards if you did stuff for them. And then like our team, we loved looking around, all them like finding like the cool little things that they had and just learning about them.
And here's some pictures of the landmarks that we got to visit. So on the first day, we actually didn't see any of these on the first day. First day was a lot of travel. Our flight left at, was it 6 a.m.? It was early. We left the school at 3 a.m., so it was a long day. But this is on the second day. We got to go to the National Mall and the whole strip, walked it up and down. So here's some pictures from inside the monuments. Like here's in the National Archives, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights is right next to it. The Capitol Hill and the Capitol and the White House were on the second day as well. We got to go there at night, so it's cool to see everything lit up. And then this was in the National Gallery of American Art. They have the Hall of Presidents, they call it. And all of the art from the White House that's not there anymore. And here's some unexpected highlights. The Metro, it was pretty cool going on the Metro. I mean, I don't think I've ever been on one before this, so it was a different form of transportation than you're used to. It was a pretty candid picture of us. Lots of cool restaurants and little shops. Like I know we all went to, I think it was Gwenny's Pastries and Bakery, and we really liked that after a while. They had really good donuts. We discovered the downtown DC holiday market kind of by chance. We saw it on social media. We're like, oh, that'd be kind of cool to go see. And it was in our little area, so we took a metro stop and went over that way, and it was really fun. I mean, a lot of people. And then yeah, lots of the local small businesses had some sort of involvement with the conference or had their doors open because they knew everyone was there.
Yeah, we also had so much extra time to like look at other cool stuff like the holiday market. It was so cool to like look around. We also got plenty of time to go look at like other businesses. Like we all got to do like a group run to Costco. It was so fun. We got to do other things than just deck activities.
And that wraps up our presentation. If you guys have any questions, fire away.
What was your favorite thing?
I think my favorite thing was listening to all the speakers and like what their stories were about how they either got into business, why they're there, or what they do. I think it was like kind of eye-opening to see the different perspectives of like every different possibility you could end up doing.
I think mine's probably getting a new experience. Like I really enjoyed, like I said, like the Gucci, the guy that worked at Gucci, the Target, I think Max or something. Like it was so cool to find like how they worked up, and the tips they gave us was like really helpful. And it was so cool to be like the presence of people who have worked up to be there.
For me, it was meeting DECA members from across the country. We were all you know, we're all from different places and we're all here for the same thing. And it was just really nice getting different people's perspectives on the conference and learning labs.
I'm really glad they didn't say $2 Costco pizza.
Yeah,
I would have been
It's pretty
disappointed.
great.
I would have thought you would all said hanging out with Brenda.
What was yours?
Oh man, watching Clayton win was pretty crazy cool. I was given advisor sessions, which I found very helpful as a brand new teacher. So one of my sessions that I really enjoyed was about school stores and school businesses. And with the evolutions that we've been making within the school store, it was very applicable and helpful. So it was a great time.
How many competitions do you do? You just the one, or do you do
It's
additional?
a stage and like a series of competitions. So we go to districts here in a few weeks. Most of us are taking our tests. So districts comprises of, it goes role play 1, role play 2. You take a test before you go to the competition site. And that gets added up into a 300 score. So like a lot of us are taking our tests this week. And then I think it's January
10th.
January 10th, we'll go to UW South for our districts. And then after that, if you advance, you'll go to state, and that's in Lake Geneva at the Grand Geneva Resort. And that's always like a highlight of everyone's year, because it's such a fun time. Everyone's there. And then if you do well enough there, you'll go to internationals, and they change that every year where it is. And this year it's in Atlanta, so hopefully we can send a few Glenwood students down there.
Do you think your experiences have maybe changed the way you think about how you market DECA to other students at Glenwood? I think
Yeah.
seeing your enthusiasm is awesome, and I think, other students would like to hear.
Yeah, 100%. I think it helps you see it as more of a club that's not like you're going to compete and you're fundraising and you're volunteering all the time. Like you're actually doing stuff. You're out in the community. You're going on these trips and you're experiencing something that'll be relevant to you in your whatever career path you choose to.
Yeah, it really helped me get on my box. Like my sophomore year, I feel like was definitely not as confident with like public speaking, and I joined and I'm so glad I did because I feel more comfortable. Like I would not have been able to do this. And an experience it gives you kind of like forces you to get out of your shell in like a comfortable way, eases you up to it.
I definitely agree. I feel like that has helped me like come out and embrace public speaking more. And I think that's helped me talk about it to my friends and other people, get more people interested in it.
Did you ask Eddie if he wanted to try the mile against you? I think he could.
I did not. I think I could have beat him then. He didn't. He said he quit running a long time ago. He was a heck of an athlete in high school and college.
I'm glad you took the initiative to write the proposal so everybody could go and hopefully inspire a lot of the underclassmen to do the same or other clubs, because this is the type of stuff that really helps a lot of students learn things that we can't get here in the city. So
Exactly,
thanks for taking the initiative.
Thank you for having us.
Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Next is the approval of the 800 football WI application for the fall of 2028 and helmet request.
So I think the first part speaks for itself. The other portion was kind of glanced over last, and they kind of forgot as far as their presentation that there was a number of years, the helmets for Glenwood City have been just basic white, and they're looking to add some more color to it. And because it's kind of a change for Glenwood, I want to make sure that it goes through the board. So that's part of, can be a separate part. Just want to make sure that you guys are okay with that. But otherwise, the main piece to this is truly moving Glenwood City football from 8-player, from 11-player to 8-player.
Any questions? Any by anybody? Go ahead, you go.
Oh, the question I had was, I'm wondering, if we went to this and we were approved, there's so many neighboring schools that we see today that are combining for sports. And so if we approve this and went to 8-man, but maybe another neighboring school is declining enrollment as well, would we ever want to go to, or could we still go back to the football it is today with another school?
Yep, so McDonald is doing exactly that. McDonald was the example. They actually won 8-man state this year. They were 11-player prior, and they actually wanted to come into our conference. They wanted to short track it, and it was denied. And so they went to 8-man for a couple of years, and now they're coming back to 11-man. So yes, you have the ability to kind of go back and forth. The main parameter for 8-man is less than 200. So yes, to your answer, there is flexibility.
Is that a 2-year waiting list again?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't believe it is. I think you would just, because you're not guaranteed. So once you go back to 11-man, I think you can do it the next year. And then if you win, you go into playoffs. It's when you move down a division or a player, then that's where you'd have to do the waiting game.
I don't think if we kind of forecasted the enrollment, right, we wouldn't have a down year where we wouldn't. Right? That was kind of what I heard last month.
And I talked to an 8th grade football player and his dad, just kind of gauge, he's active athletically. And he was all for it. He said, whatever it takes, to keep football a part of Glenwood, he just wants to play football. So he was excited about it. His dad was as well, made a comment like, it's easy to think, well, we used to do things like this, and why can't we do it? It's like, looking forward logically, this makes sense. So when you, I think that is kind of the general consensus, but.
I haven't heard anything in a negative context about it.
And we haven't either. After the presentation, it was out there in the newspaper. It was actually a headline. And so typically, it gains a little more attention, and we didn't, Jake nor I Shay didn't say anything, but I haven't heard any type of feedback. But, based on where we're at, I would have said, it's probably, even when Shane brought this up prior, it probably would have been a good move. Again, when you're canceling games because you don't have enough players, there's just that up and down. So I certainly think that that's going to be forecasted here. So other than that, everything else is based on the presentation that you saw last month.
All right, is anybody inclined to make this a motion?
I will.
Motion's made by Chuck, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Steve. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carried.
Sorry, Doc.
Yeah.
From a standpoint of the helmets, does anybody have any objections? There has been, when I remember my first time in Glenwood, there was quite the discussion around red, because it's not our color, it's an accent color. The colors of Glenwood are royal blue and white. And the red part was somewhat contentious many, many years ago. So I just want to make sure that, and that's why I'm kind of bringing it to you, if they add, again, it's not changing much, it's just adding some color. So does anybody have any objections to that?
Was that graphic you showed with your?
Pretty close, yeah. From what Shane sent me, this is, they're looking for, here's the quote, which would be purchased by the Booster Club. And then they would have that red stripe. Obviously, it wouldn't have the Patriot on there, but it'd be very similar to that. So Glenwood, for as long as Shane said, they've had completely white helmets. I don't know what you guys had years ago.
Yeah.
All white. So they would just add a little bit of
Yeah, there was blue stripes
Color.
one time.
We had GC. We had a GC on the side of ours.
So the red stripe, is that prominent?
It says 3/4 on the thing.
Yeah, I put the quote there. 3/4 red, 1/4 clear, and then Royals in there. I told them to give me as
Like
red
that.
Blue, red.
Yeah,
Just
it
like
would-
that.
It would look like that.
minus the logo on the side.
Our school colors don't include red, but red plays prominently in the helmet, so I think it's a little much for an accent color. The blue is almost moved to an accent color position between the two large red circles.
I see red.
You're right.
Yeah, red's always been an accent.
Red, there's red, we have
Yeah.
red uniforms all over the place. So, yeah,
Well, it's funny because some of the other sports, like cross country, we get bright red t-shirts, is what we sell.
Sure, yeah.
And so I don't,
Yeah, I think it's common now, like I said, there's always those opinions, but the common three color that is used in different tones is red, royal blue, and white. And there's a mixture, and of course, in today's day and age of Oregon, where they have 50 different types of jerseys, they try to create something, a little different, so. I just told Shane that I wanted to bring it through and make sure the board was okay with it.
Okay. So we have motion,
That's,
we already approved it.
yeah, you're approved.
So we don't have to do
No.
anything different with that. because it's
No.
part of it. All right, next is the, to apply for the 26-27 early school start date.
So the background of this is, for me personally, when I was in Prairie Farm, we were talking about year-round school, at one point. Just from a standpoint of getting staff, attracting staff, et cetera. One of the things that is really, been held up with the tourist industry and their lobby was the start date. And I've been fighting this since I became a superintendent. My question and response was always, leave it to the board, leave it to the local schools to decide. The September 1 start date have to deal with the Dells area or Door County, and they want the college kids and the high school kids to work, et cetera. When you think about it, especially with Jake's presentation last month, how many kids we have start school basically in August because of sports, which is over the 50%. And so the theory and thought behind this, to throw it out to the staff. So here was a survey I've included, and then I took a snapshot of the overall getting feedback from staff itself, and 76 responded, was to look at if we started even a week early and take those 5 days and sprinkle them into the rest of the calendar to infuse some more, I would say 3-day weekends for families, or 3-day weekends for students and staff just to get a break. I think one time, when you look at the calendar altogether, September until June, you're cramming all of that in. And there's still definitely 21% said that, no, I like the 2.5 months in the summer. Yep, we get that. But I think even like this year, we had 1 day that we could sprinkle in, and we threw it on Halloween. And the feedback was pretty positive in terms of college. Just kind of nice to have that day, those 3-day weekends, just to get a little bit of a breather. So the concept is that. Now, the statute says that the DPI has to be notified by January 1 with board approval just to apply. You are not basically giving up your right and saying, yes, for sure we are going. We simply just submit the application. DPI is on the same avenue as we are as a district. They think it deserves to be at the local level and not the state level. And so they are actually promoting and saying, throw anything our way and we'll approve it. Because if your local board wants to do this, so be it, then we'll approve it. The other part of this, which is another discussion in a couple agenda items, is some of the construction that we may do, like with the clay pipe. We have to tear up some things and so forth. So what I'm asking for is just permission to apply. And then I will put together a couple calendars. Krista has already, and I didn't put this up publicly, but right here in the administrative content, you can click on those. And it's kind of shows you what the calendar would be. So the next step for me would be to put those together, sprinkle those 5 days in somewhere to make 3-day weekends and a little bit of a break for students and staff. And then bring the calendar to the staff, get their thoughts, and then bring them to you as the board. I've always been a big proponent of throwing breaks in there, especially January, February. It gets to be very long. March before spring break. And I don't know how, Glenwood didn't always have a spring break from my knowledge. It's just a long time. Staff needs a break, but students need a break too. So the only thing I'm asking for is the okay to apply, and then we would filter it through the process after that.
How does that, or will it affect the Big Time and Tiny Topper program? I mean, they're pretty much a 12-month program.
Yeah, it wouldn't affect them really in any way. I mean, it would just throw around the dates.
It's gonna make their 3-day weekends, not 3-day weekends, but then it's gonna make their Fridays. probably.
Yeah, I mean, I think where Beth can make some decisions whether they're open or not open. When we moved to the PLD, one time a month, that was some of the discussion was trying to make 3-day weekends for families. What I'm trying to do with this recommendation is also give some 3-day weekends to staff and students, or excuse me, to staff too. Again, we're trying to recruit constantly to try and get the best teachers to come to Glenwood. And sometimes that's harder based on just general geographical things. We don't have some of the amenities that some of the other Menominees, New Richmonds, et cetera, have. So doing some things like this is trying to attract some of those staff too.
Is there a version where you can shorten the school year, or is it a requirement that they have to finish after Memorial Day?
You have to have so many hours. How that hour works out is up to you. But no, you can extend the day from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock and be done much sooner than that. But
Yeah, I was just thinking school year, so instead of
Yes.
January 2nd or something, say hypothetically you did sprinkle through the year, you could actually finish before Memorial Day.
Oh, absolutely. I think with this proposal, you would guarantee us being done before Memorial Day, and sprinkle in some 3-day weekends. This year was a little unique just because of the way the calendar's set because of Christmas.
I'd make a motion to at least put in the proposal to DPI.
I'll second.
Derek is good, first motion, Chuck is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, motion carried. And the next item is the budget update.
I'm not gonna go through this in detail because in a couple weeks, we will go through it at a work session, but I wanted to put it out there, just because of some of the agenda items, coming up. But just as we look at the current budget and next year's budget, some things that have come up, but again, we'll have more detailed discussion at the January 12th work session that focuses on our pillar of budget and financial. So, is there anything that sticks out that you want lots of more details? Please let me know, but we'll go into these things. Deb will also join me, and we'll have a discussion where we'll look at the Baird model, we'll look at this. I think Derek has really dove into the financials in many different ways, even talking about transportation and what it costs. So we found that through Derek's request was it basically costs our students, each student costs $298 for transportation in our district. Now, they don't use that, each student, but overall, that's equates to the per pupil. So we'll dive more into that. I wanted to create more of a framework so that you could really look at certain things. And then if you want more discussion, let me know and I will pull these out when we talk on the phone. Okay?
Strategic planning,
Yes.
same concept?
With this one, yep, the same thing. We have already gone through this. The reason I put it on there is, again, I wanted to make you aware of those discussions. We had some board members that were missing. The next two agenda items, I'm asking for approval, based on a recommendation because of all the previous information. So I wanted to put it back out in front of you, with how those discussions. The only other thing I wanted to update you is I had a meeting with Wold and Market & Johnson based on everything that we've been going through, and they are currently putting together numbers based on our prioritization schedule. So I will have more information in terms of they're working on it with everything that you guys prioritized as things that we need to address.
Right, and next we need an approval for laptops. We talked about this, that's one of our priorities. And we have a recommendation for, what was the name of that company again? This one?
Yep, so this,
Dollar buys?
if you look at the recommendation from Frank, this is, we got quotes, and I would, I guess, really emphasize that, once January 1 hits, the price is significantly gonna go up. And so with this purchase that was outlined as a priority that you guys created with that prioritization schedule, we will then have all staff with laptops, and it would be a really great resource for our staff to be able to say, yes, we have these options. So the recommendation, as Frank outlined, was, yes, for Scholar Buys.
Makes it really easy with the exercise we did, and hopefully they continue to do that, is we had the expectation of like 19,225. We see the quotes come in, I think he come in with Scholar Buys, it was like 19 or 18.5. But it makes it easy because you know how much you expected that it was gonna cost, and now you have so it's kind of like a pre-approval for these things.
Yep.
So we have a budgeted amount
Right,
for this,
exactly.
but that's like
It's not
the
like-
quotes we got right there.
Yeah.
Does that include, because I thought it was the 3-year extended warranty?
Yes, and that would include it.
Yep, right here.
All right, I'll entertain motion to approve the professional laptop from Scholar Buys.
Motion.
Motion made by Derek, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Scott. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, motion carried. And next up is the approval of buildings and grounds equipment recommendation.
So this was not a planned recommendation. Basically, what precipitated this, those veteran board members know that once we hit some of the snags we ran into with the building, there was some outside pieces that we had to address, which is why we went the snow removal route. The current model, it's the Bobcat. So if I go to this transportation inventory that you guys have seen, this Bobcat model right here is, and I was wrong, Lisa, I apologize, 2018 is correct. This Bobcat 3650 is nothing more than a cart right now. What happened was, the PTO, which includes a sweeper, or a broom, it has a plow, it has a snow blower, it has a mower attachment, is all driven, those of you that know what a PTO is driven by this PTO. We took it to Hudson because it was not working, and they basically said, we don't service this anymore. There is no PTO box available. This, in so many words, was not our best work, so we're not supporting this type of, I don't know, whatever, the 3630. they basically admitted that it is not heavy enough to do the work that they thought they would. So the equipment is basically obsolete now. The recommendation is to go to a more confident brand in John Deere. These are very similar models to what we had in New Richmond. We have the quotes. Again, I think we are in a situation where even Doc brought up the snow that's in the front. There is some limitations that we have in terms of some of the inventory. If you look at this Husqvarna, that's the 2022. That is for whatever purpose, it is in really rough condition, and it's one of the older type of, it's not a zero-turn mower. Now, we did purchase the Bad Boy, which was a great upgrade for us. But with the Bobcat, Jerry is actually rebuilding the PTO, and it is our recommendation to rebuild that PTO, get to the point where the machine is workable, and then sell it and recoup some of the funds. It is Tim's recommendation, it is Jerry's recommendation, and my recommendation based on what that model is not able to do, we need it to do. And so if we were to rebuild the PTO, it's just gonna break again, the bearings are gonna break again. So this is not a planned $60,000 type of purchase. However, I think if you look at the type of commercial mower, it has all these attachments. This would be a great, I mean, I actually just saw one, whether it's malls, a lot of municipalities have these types of things. So I guess, like I said, I think everything is outlined in the recommendation, in the quotes. Is there any questions that you guys have?
No quotes, but obviously Bob Swanepoel has worked with this first person before because his email address is on the invoice.
Oh, is
Because
it?
of the quote summary, yeah,
Which one?
Johnson?
for, it has the 64,000, it says the quote summary,
Oh,
be on
to,
page, but I was like,
Yeah.
Bob's still working here.
I dug a little bit into that Bobcat machine. It was originally made by Polaris, and the Bobcat just threw a PTO unit on it. It's not meant for this type of work that we're wanting it to do. It's not a commercial type unit, whereas the John Deere absolutely is. So, and these kinds of things come up every year. You know, a $60,000 purchase. I mean, there's always something.
and I think, between Tim, and actually one of the quotes comes from a Prairie Farm board member that I used to work with up in Turtle Lake. And these are really, and I trust his, actually, recommendation is not to go with his quote, it's somebody else's, but understands the commercial needs of a school district and would agree that this John Deere model does exactly that.
I'm gonna go. Don't mind me.
Do you want to make a
I'll
motion?
make a motion to approve this.
Is there a second to that?
Are there alternatives that we've kicked around? I mean, obviously, we're getting the Bobcat fixed. Is there an option to just get it through the season and sell it in the spring?
We don't think it would keep up. The John Deere is, again, it's a proven track record. That's why we are recommending the John Deere. We figured we could probably get 15,000 maybe for the Bobcat and the attachments. Quite honestly, it was a poor purchase to start. I wasn't here in 2018, so I can't comment on it, but again, with our due diligence and what we need for just keeping our grounds the way this would be a good investment.
Are the two different size decks necessary?
We only would do the 72. So you can have a chance, you can choose between a 60 and a 72. We would go with the 72 since we're making the investment.
Yeah, that was the only thing I was struggling with is that the Bobcat failed us and it looks like that Husqvarna that's like 3 years old is in pretty rough shape too. So I'm trying to understand if we're not purchasing the right equipment to begin with, because we don't want to be back here in 3 years purchasing another 60,000 with another World unit, or are we not doing the preventative maintenance, or are these just poorly designed, right?
That's the other part that concerns me, is like, if we've got a bad track record of maintaining equipment,
Then
should we
we're
be
gonna
spending
do the
this
same
much
thing.
money, you know, that's where.
Here's how I can answer that. Number one, again, I wasn't here, so I can't speak to what, but when you look at the equipment we purchased in New Richmond with 6 buildings and hundreds of acres, yes, we had a John Deere dealership in town that we had a good relationship with, but Bobcat, as you know, it sounds like Chuck did some background work. I rarely have ever seen UTVs that are made by Bobcat, and then the PTO shaft, and that's where Jerry's, I think, expertise, and I asked him, give me a recommendation, don't, give me the true outline of, do you think this can withstand with what we have to do here? And both Tim and Jerry said no. I think there was, in terms of the Husqvarna, or whatever, however you pronounce that, there was some preventative maintenance that I think could have probably deterred some of the condition that it is right now. I can't speak to that. I know the protocols I have set in place. So I'm confident in what we have and how we look at things. I think there is, question marks in terms of buses. I mean, we've been having the same conversation with a host of equipment, and it just wasn't planned properly, in my opinion. John Deere, I grew up red. I'm not a fan of John Deere, but I definitely would purchase John Deere for this type of work because we've had the most success. And again, if you talk to whether it's municipalities, malls, commercial grades, these are the models that these entities are going with.
Is leasing an option?
I did not ask. I did not ask about leasing. I think based on our conversation with buses, I didn't ask about the leasing part, just knowing that we have some ability with fund balance. And again, I think this is definitely something the board has been talking about down there. We had 4 buses in the last roughly 5 months. We had the plow truck, which is why we went to a third party. We just have had a string of, I would say, equipment failures that we needed to get ahead of, and this is one.
And I didn't notice it in your warranties.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. If you look at the quote themselves, it addresses warranty. The recommendation is to go with Tractor out of Menominee. Tractor Central had the best price based on the comparable of the same model from 3 different John Deere dealerships. And again, if you do your research, John Deere will be right up there in terms of the best type of model for the work that we're talking about. And I think the nice thing for me is that it's multi-tool in terms of it has all of these attachments and it can withstand, it's proven to withstand this type of work.
So this quote is from Turtle Lake, it says. But you're saying we're gonna go from Menominee?
There's 3 quotes.
What am I not seeing?
So if you look at the first
Oh,
one,
there we go. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
recommendation is for the lowest bid, because they're basically the same company, or excuse me, same, piece of equipment. And to Scott's question, the 72-inch.
So it'd probably be like 5,000 less than what that quote says.
I know the Turtle Lake one you can get,
Yeah.
He threw a bunch of other details in there.
Yeah, I think the only thing that would make me feel better is if, what Ryan's replacement, Mr. McVeigh's replacement would have some type of details of how we're gonna, I guess, do preventative maintenance on this piece of equipment to make sure that we get the most use or best life out of it.
Yeah, especially we're talking about kind of changing the maintenance schedules too, and having some people that maybe were on the grounds last year that shouldn't be, because they were hard on equipment. I think, yeah, having some consistency there would help a ton.
Yeah, we have, you just approved one individual that is no longer employed here, which I think is part of the discussion. I think another individual that no longer is part of that equipment, as far as their job description, taken into account. These are not, it's not like people are lining up to take these positions. We're looking at third party right now just to make sure that we can stay fully staffed. In terms of equipment itself, you know, Jerry, he's rather new. But again, right now we are down, and he's not even guaranteeing that he can fix this PTO to even finish it, much less a higher standard to sell it. So we have a piece of equipment that is obsolete right now anyway. And right now, with as much snow as we've gotten, we're kind of behind the eight ball, just because we don't have equipment. Most schools have a couple of these in some fashion, so. It wasn't on our priority list, but again, I feel good about what it would be used for. The maintenance piece, yeah, it's just like anything here. We got our work cut out of changing a culture and changing processes here to make sure that we don't find ourselves in this position again.
So I would second the motion, but based on seeing some type of plan of what he's used either in the past historically to maintain equipment, or what we're gonna do that gives this the best setup for success to last as long as we need it. Obviously, there is safety element. I mean, we had less than one until the weekend, so then I don't think we didn't hit the contract approval for the lease, so then we got snow out there, and if we don't have equipment to do that, then we got people shoveling, or we got snow just hanging out there, so. Anyways, with those things in mind, that's why I'll second it.
All right, there's a motion and a second on the table. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carried. All right. With our no communications, and, the next meeting will be the 12th.
Yeah, so we have the 12th, Monday the 12th as a budget financial stewardship. And so Deb will join me, and we will go through again any details like we did last time. It's a good opportunity to do a deep dive, help you understand the bear model, understand where we are with a lot of that information, and just truly have some time to discuss it in depth.
All right, next I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So,
Steve? And second by Derek. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. We are adjourned.